Okay, just tuned in a couple of minutes early. So anyone tuning into this session later, skip ahead 3 or 4 minutes and you'll be into the live workout. So just if you are tuned in later in the day, skip ahead 3 or 4 minutes, we'll be into the workout. Just tuning in a couple of minutes early to make sure sound, everything is working all right there. And I can see the green bars, so it looks to be working fine, so that's great. So, get this set up. As ever for this section, what I will have at the ready, always want a good sturdy chair. Section can be performed seated or in standing. If we have a couple of weights, so I have my weights here at the ready, you can use tins, bottles of water, anything at all you want that can provide you a little bit of weight. And again, as I always say, just do everything at your own pace. There's no pressure. So any movement you don't like, you can just change, adapt. So we'll get started very shortly. Just a reminder again, this is a collaboration between Siel, Bleu Ireland and the Irish Cancer Society with this Staying Well While Staying Home series. So very welcome along and delighted to be here. So looking forward to the session, which we will begin very shortly now. So I may have forgotten as well, bottle of water. Nice and sunny where I am today, so hopefully it's nice where you are as well. Good to have a little bit of sunshine poking through. So have my water at the ready and I'll keep sipping on that as I go along. So just make sure we're on silent here. That looks to be working okay. Brilliant. Perfect. Okay, so maybe just one more minute and I'll get the session started then. Michelle, how are you? Good stuff. Seems to be all working there fine, which is good. So, again, just if you quickly need, as I said, again, just have your chair at the ready, good sturdy chair, weights, anything at all that can give you a little bit of resistance, and a bottle of water, just something to sip on during the session. Format we'll go with today will be aerobic and strength work. So with our aerobic work, the purpose is just to get moving and just think working the lungs, working the heart, giving our body a good challenge. And then we'll perform a couple of weighted movements using our body weight and using some physical weights as well. So a mix of two styles within the session. Okay, so coming into the time now, so I think we'll get started. Just checking in, all good there. Okay, so today I'm going to lead this, and my name is Shane, by the way, just in case maybe this is your first session. And I also always say, just do as much as you're comfortable from this workout. If you need to break it down into parts, I know from talking to one or two of the guys, they have done that, maybe just the aerobic work, and then they've come back for the strength work. Little things like that, whatever way the workout works best for you, just to do that. So I'll lead the warm-up in seated today, just that it's universal, we can all do it. And the session I will lead largely in standing, but you can perform as much of it seated as you like. So let's just start off with a little bit of movement. And we're going to start very simple first, just to roll the shoulders back. Which is probably an area I would always start my warm-up with. Just think in general posture, areas of tightness, stiffness. Let's get the shoulders moving. And I think with a lot of the movements, whether it be aerobic work or strength work, we'll be using the shoulders. So I just want to make sure they're kind of loosened out, not too tight, not stiff. Just that they're ready for a little bit of movement and ready to hold a little bit of weight. So I'm just slowly rolling those shoulders back, sitting in a nice upright position. And then I'm going to change direction and start slowly rolling the shoulders forward. So just slowly rolling my shoulders forwards. Just getting as much movement as comfortable here. Bringing those shoulders forwards. Okay, next I'm going to bring the hands up at about chest height. Just going to start off lightly pressing out in front. I have a wall push-up movement planned today, so I'm just going to get a feel for how that kind of movement would feel. Does this kind of movement feel okay? So just pressing hands straight out from chest. Maybe connecting, feeling the chest a little bit here. And then if I bring the hands to my sides, and now just pressing out to the sides. So I'm just kind of opening out from the chest a little bit. Might feel the shoulders here. Might feel a little squeeze or a little pinch between my shoulder blades as well. So just pressing out to the sides. Next, I want to bring those two parts together. So I'll just press forward and press out to the sides. Press forward, out to the side. And again, I'm just thinking about my upper body here, just opening out my chest, just connecting, switching on to my shoulders, and maybe feeling a little squeeze in my back as well. Just press forward and to the sides and down. Excellent. From there, I'm going to bring my left foot out. I know I'm a little bit out of shot there. Right arm out and just reach down. Doesn't matter if I don't touch that foot. I just want to reach across. Again, this will kind of relate to a movement we're going to try a little bit later on. So just reaching down, right hand across my left foot. Just stretching across and back up. And from there, I'll switch side. My right foot is out, left arm out. Just reach down in that nice diagonal plane. With the movements and with the warm-up, not to be too technical, don't worry if it doesn't kind of look exactly as you see it. The main thing with your warm-up is that you're moving, we're bringing the heart rate up, we're just loosening out all the joints and warming, preparing the body for some of the main movements. So once you keep yourself active and moving in this warm-up, that's the main thing here. And back, reset, nice and tall, arms by my sides, reach to the right, back to the middle, and then reach to the left. So you'll see I just reach side to side with a little side bend, but I like to break it down in the middle so I don't lurch from side to side. Just take a second or two to reset my position in the middle. Okay, I'm just keeping that movement as lateral or side to side as I can. Just breaking it up with a little pause in the middle. Perfect. Next, I'm just going to start lightly raising the arms directly in front. Again, just switching the shoulders on. And then we'll progress this movement up a little bit. Okay, now keep the arms in front, clench the hands, and just gently pull back. If you find that's a little bit uncomfortable, what you can do is just open one side at a time. So again, no areas of potential tightness, stiffness, maybe even just a little bit sensitive around the chest, shoulders. So do adapt, change this one if you need. But the purpose here, I'm just think opening out my chest and connecting with my shoulders as I bring those arms from front to side. So just pulling back by my sides. That front to side position. And back down, hands on legs, just going to keep it flowing, keep it moving. Not really looking to stop at all during this warm-up. I'm going to keep the body active, keep myself moving, keep myself warming up. Just reaching down. And once more. Perfect. Arms out in front, clench the hands and just pull back nice and low into your tummy. So just think of a rowing action. Physically grab every time those hands go back in front. How that looks from the side, to see how I'm rowing. And I'm sitting a little bit forward from the back of the chair. Just switching on to my back with a little bit of movement here. Okay, and then I'm going to bring those hands together, elbows up. Rotate the body to the right and rotate the body to the left. Always like some rotation in our warm-up. Just getting the upper body moving. They go right and then left. I'm going to go once more and down. Now, making sure I keep my lower body moving. I'll sit back a little bit. Just into a march next. Again, what we talked about, just bringing that body, raising the temperature, warming ourselves up, gradually bringing that heart rate up. So I'm just moving, keeping the legs moving here with a nice controlled march. Next, I want to open out my hips, so I step my right leg out and then step my left leg out, one at a time, opening the legs out. just switching on the hips. We often do a lot of hip work, and we will in today's session, so just making sure the hips switched on. And then just to extend right leg, left leg. So again, I'm just kind of switching on the legs, thighs, before we get into our main weighted movements. So we'll just go one more time, lightly marching out, just finishing our warm-up. Opening out from my hips, right leg, left leg, just opening out to the sides. And then just once more to extend the legs, right and left. Just switching on the legs, extending out in front. Very last movement now in our warm-up. Just to get the ankle moving. My right foot is up. Hold on to that knee if you like. And just slowly bring that foot around in circles. So just thinking in particular for the aerobic movement where I'm kind of nice and light on my feet, moving, active. Just want to make sure the ankles are switched on and feeling good. Change direction. Nice and slow around in circles. And then just to change. So I'll swap sides, make sure I'm comfortable. Left foot up. Hold on to that knee if you like. And slowly bring the foot around in circles. Nice and slow. Just moving that foot around in circles. As much movement as comfortable. And then just to reverse, change direction, keeping the foot moving. Just finishing out. And down. Perfect. Okay, so that's us warmed up. This next phase, I'm going to lead standing. I think I'm going to warmed up, I'm active, I'm good to go. So I'm not going to hang around here. I'm just going to get us kind of straight into some movements. I'm just going to ever so slightly adjust that camera down just so you get a better shot there. Okay, so again, if you want, all this movement can be performed standing, which I will lead from, or continue from your chair and just to do the same movements. If any of the movements feel a little unbalanced, you'll see I have my chair here, so I can grab on for a little bit of support if I want. So I'm going to set my timer, and I want you to start with me now, just to start marching the position out. So we have 3 movements, which we will repeat 3 times, separated by marching in between. I want a little bit of intensity in this block of work, that you feel you're active and moving. So equivalent to brisk walk. Imagine being on a treadmill, being on an exercise bike, where you get a little bit out of puff, a little bit of challenge. So I might have a little bit of a pant in the breath, but I'll never be completely breathless or unable to talk, for example. So first movement, I'm going to lightly kick the heels behind, and I'm also going to press as I do that. If you find it a little bit awkward to press as well, I just want you to focus on the leg movement. You could keep hands on the hips and kick the heels back. So just showing from the side how that looks. Kicking heel towards bum. So I'm just going to keep that one flowing with a press at the same time, if comfortable. I'm just getting that nice comfortable press and kicking the heels behind. If it's unbalanced, what I want you to do is hold on to the chair and perform that movement. If you're in a seated position, I want you to just march it out for that one. Okay, so back to a march. I'm going to keep the arms moving. And remember, if seated, I want you to just march out for that first position and then continuing with us. Now, second movement, how this will look. My right arm is up. I'm going to tap down to my left knee. So just right hand, left knee. If I feel in any way unbalanced, my chair is here and I hold on. If you're seated, you perform the same movement. Just tapping hand down to your knee. Just stretch across. Right hand down to left knee. Okay, so we just keep ourselves active. We keep ourselves moving. My upper body is straight. You'll notice I'm not bending or hunching into this position. My upper position is strong. And I just tap down. If your shoulder, if this area feels a little bit tight, sensitive, go from a more comfortable position. So my arm could be by my side. It could be a little bit lower. Adjust whatever feels right for you. It's the most important thing here. And back to march. Now, as you go along, if you're feeling the pace, this is getting a little bit too difficult. slow the pace down. And in particular, I want you to use your march just to catch your breath. You could slow it right down to a walk pace. But if it feels comfortable, you march at a good continuous pace throughout. Now, left arm is up, hands down to right knee. Again, if I felt unbalanced, I would have my chair alongside me. I can adjust the position. So if it's a little bit too high from this diagonal position, I could have the arm out by my side. I could even start from a nice kind of low position. Once there's no, it doesn't feel sore, tight around your chest, shoulder. And I know that can be a little bit tight, sensitive sometimes. So do adjust. Make the movement work best for you. Slow the pace down. It's not about matching what you see. Unless this is a pace that's comfortable. If you're very comfortable everything so far, continue on. Give yourself a good challenge. And back to march. So that's the 3 movements. Seated or standing. I'm going to repeat them 2 more times each movement. I want to be a little bit of a challenge, so you'll hear a little bit of exertion in my voice, maybe a little pant in the breath, but never completely breathless to a point where I couldn't talk. We don't want that, not pumping sweat, anything like that, but challenged, yes. Okay, so again, heel kicks behind with a press. So just kick the heels behind and press. If you find maybe pressing is a little bit uncomfortable, you might just like to focus on the leg movement here, and that's absolutely fine. Just if in a seated position, I just want you to continue to march for this one. Just keep the legs moving, marching out. Again, just getting a nice press out from the chest as I keep the legs moving. I'm familiar, I know all the movements now, so I have a good idea of how hard I can push and if I need to change anything. Just press and tap behind. And back to march. Again, if you're feeling the pace, slow it down. I'm in control. You can hear that. Yes, there is a challenge in my voice. There's a little bit of a pant, but I'm not struggling. I'm in control, so I can continue to march at a good, comfortable pace here. Nice and strong. Next movement, right hand, left knee. Stretch across. Again, adjust the position. Chair is here for balance. If I want, I can sit down for this movement. And I can change the angle. So I don't need to come from that diagonal. I could come from side on. I could come from a lower position. Adjust, taper this, make it work best for you. Pace, again, no pressure to match the pace you watch in front of you. Go at a pace that feels comfortable, where you're getting a challenge, where you're still in control, you still feel strong, you feel balanced throughout the movements. If not, you're going to slow it down. I often say a simple little tip is you could try every second repetition with me. And back to march. And just catching your breath. Again, if you're finding the pace tough, I just let the arms kind of relax. Slow it down to a walk pace, catch your breath. Otherwise, keep going at a good steady pace with the march. Next movement, left arm up and tap across. Left hand down to my right knee. Again, I'm going to hold on to a chair for support if I need. I'm going to change the angle of the arm so I don't need to come from this position. I can bring it from the side if I want. Or I could go from a lower position. So do change any part of this that you need. And if you're in a seated position, you're going for the same movements. Just bringing that arm down, tapping left hand to right knee. And again, maybe what started quite easy the first time, maybe the second round is getting a little bit tougher. So just mindful, slow it down a little bit if you need. And back to march. So it really is important. There's no pressure. Again, I want to set and make sure there's sufficient challenge, enough to keep everyone engaged, challenged, getting something from the session. But it's very important that you slow the pace down, change anything that you're not comfortable with, seated or standing, whatever is more comfortable to you. Hands up, one more round. Press with heel digs. press and just curling my leg back, or my bum kicks here. So just curling the leg back, pressing the arms out. Again, if I want, I can take the arms out of the movement. You just place hands on hips. You can even hold on to the chair for support if you need. And if in seated, I want you just to focus on marching. I just keep it very simple. Just keep the legs moving at a good pace, at a good intensity. Final couple of movements here. Again, there's a little puff in my voice, a little pant. So that tells that I'm working hard, but I'm not completely breathless. I can still talk. And back to march. But if I was struggling a lot here, I would slow it right down to a walk pace. I would just catch my breath. Okay, final couple of movements now in our aerobic block. So my right hand is up, right arm out, and tap down. Right hand, left knee. Again, chair for balance if I want. Changing the angle of the arm if I want. So I could go from side, or I could go from a lower position. So I will adjust if the shoulder, chest just feels in any way uncomfortable with this range. Again, there's no pressure with the pace. It's about finding a pace that's comfortable. It's not about matching exactly what I do. Go to a pace that's right for you. That could be faster, that could be slower. Whatever feels right for you. Last couple of seconds. Breathing all the time, never holding your breath. And marching out. So we'll have one final movement. That will be left hand down to right knee. And cardiovascular this part. Really working the lungs, working the heart. As I say, think about being out for a brisk walk, being on a bike, being on a treadmill. That's the kind of challenge we get here. So left arm is out and down. Left hand, right knee. Just to tap across. Chair for balance if you need. Change the angle that you come down from if needed, whether that's high, in a medium or low. Seated position, the movement is the same. Just tapping the hand down to the opposite knee. And about 10 seconds just to finish out. And I'm just going to finish out marching. And I'm going to slow the pace down. Now we're coming to rest, so just slow it down a little bit. Just gradually ease it down here. Another couple of seconds. Lightly walking it out. Just slowly bringing the pace down just a little bit. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay, so we'll take a drink of water. That's your aerobic block of work done. So first phase finished. We'll move into our strength work. So we'll take a drink of water. Catch your breath, take a breather, take a little rest on the chair, sit down if needed, and give yourself a good rest here. I'll give another minute or so on the clock. And I'll just explain this next part. So again, I will lead this work in standing, but you can choose to do any movement seated instead. And I'll show you an adaptation for each. We have 5 exercises, and this is where, if you have your weights, we will use our weights, and we'll also use just some body weight movements. So, just making this out of the way. So we'll just set the timer up. So we work on the clock for 60 seconds per exercise. And we have about 20 plus seconds in between every movement just to get set up and recover between each exercise. So there's no pressure or hurry. So movement number 1, this is a wall push-up. This takes a little bit of explanation. I just want to show in case you don't have a wall nearby. So first of all, if you don't have a wall nearby, that's no problem. Don't feel you have to run out of the room to do this workout. That's absolutely fine. What you can do instead is take 2 weights and just go for a nice smooth press out from chest. My only tip here is just not to punch the weights out. Keep it slow, keep it steady. And that can be performed standing or seated. So again, I can maybe take a little bit of support here if I prefer, and just push the weight nice and smooth out from chest. Keep a straight line from your chest and press them, just punch them out without any control. If that's a little bit tough, just drop the weights and go for a press without weight. In terms of the wall push-up, I'm going to set that up now. So if you have a wall nearby, I'm going to set this one up. So my position first, hands will be about shoulder width apart and chest height. I wouldn't like to be up at this angle. It'll just feel strained here. So shoulder width apart, chest height. I place my 2 hands in against the wall. I'm going to step back a little bit. So I'm at an angle. If I walk in close to the wall, this will be easier. If I walk away, this will be harder. I can lift up onto the toes of my feet if I like, or keep the feet flat. From here, I lower myself into the wall and I press back out. I think of a nice straight angle from my ankle to my hip to my shoulder on each side. So there's a straight line dropping in, pressing out. I'll make sure I don't just drop in from the hips or just dropping in from the upper body. I want all the body to drop in, press out. If I feel uncomfortable, I will drop down to my heels, keeping my position flat, and I can walk it into the wall. So we'll keep it going here, adjusting, changing. Remember, we'll perform this circuit twice more, so we can kind of change, get more familiar with the movements. Think about breathing out as you press away from the wall. Inhale as you lower. We'll get one more. And rest. Okay, so that's movement 1, wall push-up. If you're not liking that movement, remember, you could just go for a press instead. So not to worry if there's no wall nearby. Second movements. I want you to take your 2 weights and we're going to go for heel raises. If you don't like this version, hold on to the back of your chair and lift the heels. If, however, you're comfortable, hold the weights by your side, feet hip width, toes straight, and I begin lifting my heels up. So I'm holding the 2 weights as I perform this movement, lifting my heels up and back down. So a movement we've performed before, heel raises, just adding a little bit of challenge in there today, just showing how you can add something more to a movement, and just so you have this going forward. But again, if this is a movement that's uncomfortable, ditch the weights, hold on to the back of the chair and lift your heels up. You're still going to get your body weight and going to get plenty of challenge from that one. If you're in seated, the movement is exactly the same. Couple of points, so make sure my body is straight, my hips, they don't rock forward and back. They get a very comfortable, strong lifting up of the heels. I get up onto the toes of my feet every time and back down. Next movement, we'll drop 1 weight. I'm going to go for a tricep or back of the arm. So just going to show you, if in seated position, what I want you to do is sit forward, lean the body, elbow back and press the weight. So again, I would lean forward, elbow up and press the weight back from the elbow. If in standing, what you're going to do is, so just bring the clock back. From the standing position, you're going to keep your feet about 1 foot away from the chair. You're going to soften the knees. We don't want to be too straight. Just soften your stance and hold on to the back of that chair. That'll give me support. So my back is straight. I'm not bending. I'm in a nice flat position. I lift the elbow up and then I begin pressing the weight back. So it doesn't matter whether we're standing or seated. The elbow is the same. Movement is coming from the elbow. Your upper arm stays fixed in position and you just press the weight back from your elbow. So my lower arm is where the movement is. The purpose here is to feel and try and connect with the back of your arm here. My back should stay straight. I'm not bending at all. And I'm just pushing from the elbow, trying to get a little squeeze with the back of the arm. If you're not comfortable, remember you can perform this seated. You just lean your body forward, raise the elbow up, press the weight back in the same way. Or you could try this movement without any weight. Even just get a feel for the movement and see how you find this. Okay, so last repetition or two, we'll get one more. And rest. Excellent. So I'll straighten up. We're going to work from the opposite side. So I'll just change. Remember, seated or standing. And we've tried different versions of this movement, and it's just one of those I find people like to work the back of the arm. Strongest muscle in the arm is the tricep. So it's nice to have a couple of different ways and maybe picking the one that feels best to you. So about a foot away from the chair, knees are soft, holding on, back is straight. So I'm never bending. Back is a nice flat position, elbow up, and let's begin pressing the weight. So from my elbow, pushing the weight behind. Again, what I want to feel here is a nice squeeze in the back of my arm. That tricep, back of the arm, switched on, connecting with it here. My knees stay soft, my back stays straight, and my elbow remains kind of fixed in position here. So the only movement is your lower arm from the elbow. Just pushing the weight back every time. So again, just going to keep going, pressing that weight behind. You might find that left side a little bit tougher. Maybe the right side is a little bit stronger. These are natural little differences you might find. Last repetition or two. One more. And rest. Excellent. One last movement. We have rest in between, so there's no hurry. I'm going to take my two weights. And this will be about working the hips. You do this standing or seated in exactly the same way, really. So holding the weights by my side, I'm not going to rest them in. I'm going to hold them out from the hips. I lift my right knee up, and then I lift my left knee. So you can see the pace I go is very slow, controlled. If this wasn't balanced, I might get rid of one of the weights and hold on to the chair. Or just to match the movements from a seated position, holding your weight and getting a good purposeful lift of the knee. Showing it from the sides, and see that the movement is from my hip, lifting the knee up. I'm not bending my upper body forward. I keep it nice and straight, and I just raise one knee up at a time. So I'm connecting and working my hip with this movement. But this isn't about marching fast. Think about a purposeful lift of the knee. If I can get that knee roughly in line with my hip, if that's a bit uncomfortable, not to force that high. And once more, on each side, and down. First round finished. So I'm going to let my weights down. Take a little breather. Again, if you want a sip of water there. And we will repeat those movements again, second time. So what I always say to people is just kind of, there are your 5 movements. Was there anything there you didn't like? If there was a movement that caused pain, or even as simple as you just don't like the look of one of the movements, that's perfectly fine. Maybe choose the seated adaptation in that case, or pick a movement that you're more familiar with. So there's, as I always say, no magic formula, just that you're active, performing a movement during the block of time. That's the main thing. So I'm going to go back to the start, wall push-up. Remember, if you don't like this movement or don't have a wall, push straight out from your chest, with or without weight, standing or seated. If standing, hands about shoulder width apart, chest tight. I rest my hands into the wall. I stand back a little bit. That will give me a bit of challenge. And I like to raise it up onto my toes so my heels are off the floor. My body is straight, and in 3, 2, 1, I lower into the wall, press back out. Exhale as I push, inhale as I lower. My body stays straight, Think no different to if you were on the floor, how you would perform this movement. You're just pressing your body straight up, away from the wall. Make sure your upper body and the hips are all moving together. We don't want to just drop the upper body in or just kind of sag the hips in. We want everything moving together. If this is difficult, walk closer into the wall for more. It'll make it easier. Or walk further away, but never too far. And that'll bring more challenge. Press out, breathe away, inhale and lower. And rest. So function there can work the chest, and you can really kind of control the range. So you don't need to go too far. Control the range that you work in. You're going to work your chest, going to feel the back of the arms, and I might feel the shoulders a little bit there as well. Second movement, heel raises. I take hold of my two weights, my body is straight, and I begin. Heels up and back down. So I get right up onto the toes of my feet. Remembering, very simple adaptation. If you don't like this, drop the weights, hold on to the back of the chair, and you perform the movement exactly the same, but now supported by the chair. Again, this is just offering an adaptation, just that you have challenge, an extra little challenge if you want or need here. So holding my weights, lifting my heels up, getting right up onto the toes of my feet. The function here is to work the back of the lower legs, my calves, just to keep them strong, and getting nice movement from the ankle as well. Again, just think right up onto the toes of your feet. Big strong lift up of the heels. Keeping your body straight, making sure that our hips don't rock forward and back. We keep our position as straight as we can throughout. And down. Dropping one weight. So tricep kick back. Remember, if you didn't like the standing version I showed, seated version, sit forward, body is straight, lean, elbow back, and press. So you can try this from a seated position if you're not liking the standing one. If, however, you're okay, standing position, you're going to go about a foot away from the chair, soften the knees, and hold on to the back of the chair. And I just naturally tilt. Hips push back a bit, back is straight, elbow up, and I'm going to begin the movement, pushing from my elbow. So let's begin in 3, 2, 1, and start. Press back, press back. So my knees stay soft, my back stays straight, and my elbow is in position here, pushing the weight back from my elbow. Again, the purpose is to connect with, feel the back of your arm here, that tricep. Again, big, strong muscle, back of the arm. And you're thinking about keeping your upper arm kind of locked in position, and you're just pushing the weight back from your elbows, pressing back as far as you can comfortably go here. We're keeping this upper part of the arm fixed. We don't want the entire arm to move. We won't work the muscle in the same way. That'll become more of a shoulder movement. So we keep it locked in, pushing the weight back from your elbow all the time. Keeping your back straight, keeping the knees nice and soft here, holding on to the chair. And get one more. And rest down. Excellent. Swap sides. So do the same action from the left. Remember, seated version where you can lean, elbow up, and press in the same way. It's really a very similar setup. Standing, foot away from the chair, knees are soft, holding on, back is straight, elbow up, and I begin the movement, pushing back. So again, you're just pressing back from the elbow, pushing the weight behind. Again, let's keep the knees soft. Let's keep our back straight. And think of pushing back, just pressing that weight as far back as comfortable from your elbow. Always with the function or purpose of connecting with the back of your arm. That's what we want here, connection with the back of our arm. If it does feel any way uncomfortable, I would recommend the seated position, just to give yourself that little bit of support. Don't want the back or anything to feel uncomfortable here. Should only really just feel the back of my arm. Very controlled press from the elbow, just pushing the weight behind. In terms of breathing, I would exhale as I push the weight back. Last couple of reps. And rest. Excellent. Next movement, take your two weights. Just turn that off. Whether it's seated or standing, I want you to go for the same position, holding the weights by your sides, a little bit out from the hips. And let's begin in 3, 2, 1. Slow raise of the knee. Right knee up, left knee up. So again, right and left. If I felt in any way unbalanced to drop a weight, hold on to the side of the chair. If I prefer, I can take up a seated position and perform it from there. Just seated, lifting one knee up at a time. Again, I'm going to keep this slow and controlled. It's not about going for a fast march. It's more about working the hip with a very controlled lift of the knee. I get roughly to a position of knee in line with hip and then slowly back down. And I've that added challenge of holding weight through each side. So my shoulder and arm switched on, holding the weight. Again, good purposeful lift of the knee. I think we'll get one more on each side. And rest down. Okay. Excellent. 2 rounds finished. Again, just take a little check-in with yourself. Have a drink of water. So we're going to perform that circuit, 1/3 final round. Again, remember, if there's anything you don't like, please do change the exercise, maybe the seated version instead of the standing. Adapt, change, just make sure no movement is causing you any pain or anything that's uncomfortable. If everything's feeling okay, we're going to go for 1/3 final round. Same format, 1 minute on the clock for the movement and just over 20 seconds kind of recovery setup for the next movement. So one more time, wall push-up. Remember, if there's no wall nearby, you can press 2 weights out from that chest, seated or standing, without weight. But again, I do want to just kind of coach us this wall push-up today. So I'm going to set the clock now. Hands shoulder width apart, about chest height. So again, just that you're not up in this position or out really wide. Shoulder width, chest height. That's a nice setup. I drop my hands into the wall. I'm going to step back. Remember, the further back I walk from the wall, the harder this is. The closer I go, the easier the movement. So you can adapt this one nicely. I like to lift my heels up. Body is straight. Drop in. Press out. I breathe out as I press away. Inhale as I lower in. Again, I'll try and control the movement. So I don't need to drop too low into the wall if it feels tough. Make sure your hands feel strong. Movement coming through the arms. So you're going to feel the back of the arms with this movement as well. I'm making sure that the full body is dropping in. So it's not just a case of the hips or just dropping in from the upper body. Everything drops in and then presses out. And there's plenty of time on the clock. Adjust, change this movement as you need. Just getting a feel for it today. We can maybe practice it again in another session. Breathe out, press away. Chest active, arms active. Might even feel shoulder a little bit. And rest. Excellent. And I didn't take the blind down today, which is always a bonus. Like the previous session. So next movements, heel raises. I'm going to hold the 2 weights. I'm going to keep my feet hip width apart, and the action is to lift the heels up off the ground. So let's begin that movement. Heels up, getting right up onto the toes of my feet. But again, if you're not liking this one, just drop the weights, hold the back of the chair, and get a good, big, strong lift of those heels up. Keeping that body straight, just that the hips don't rock forward and back, whichever version we do. And if you're in a seated position, the movement is the same. I would just walk the feet right back in towards the chair. You're not too far away. Feet hip width, toes straight ahead, lifting your heels up with the purpose of connecting with the back of my lower legs. Heels up, back down, and just a little bit of separation. Just careful that you don't bounce one rep to the next. There is a little bit of separation, up, down, reset. So we get a good purposeful lift every time. We'll get one more. And down. Tricep, back of the arm. So we drop one weight. One more time. I just want to show you the seated adaptation because I know it can be a tricky enough movement. Sit forward. Body is tall and lean. Elbow up. Press the weight back. So very similar if in seated. Standing. Just a couple of extra points that you add in. Foot away from the chair. Knees are soft. Hold on to the back of the chair. My back is going to stay straight. I lift the elbow up and we'll begin the movement in 3, 2, 1 and begin. Push back and down. So my knees stay soft, my back stays straight, and the movement initiates from the elbow, pushing the weight back. So I make sure that upper arm stays fixed in position as I push the weight back. What we don't want is for that entire arm to move. That will just become a shoulder movement. So keep the elbow up, press from the elbow, pushing the weight back. And we just want to feel back of that upper arm here. I should say as well, just that your head feels comfortable, neutral, in line with my spine here. So I'm not staring up at the ceiling. I'm not tucking my chin tight to the chest. I just have the head relaxed, feeling comfortable. Pushing the weight back from my elbow. Breathe out, press back. One more. And rest. Opposite side. So again, remember, seated or standing, whatever feels best to you. So I'm going to take the same setup, about a foot away, knees soft, hand on chair, back is straight, elbow up, and let's begin in 3, 2, 1, pressing the weight back. And genuinely, this is a movement that wouldn't require much weight. So even if you find this is really tough, you could drop the weight, clench the hand, and just focus on pushing back from the elbow. And you should feel a good connection that way in the back of the arm, even without any weight. So just if you find that your weight is proving a little bit heavy, and maybe that the entire arm is starting to move, maybe just drop the weight. It's perfectly fine. Knees are staying soft, back is staying straight, pushing the weight back from my elbow. As far back as comfortable, squeezing, connecting with the back of my arm. Push back. Breathe out as I press the weight back. One more rep. And rest. Final exercise today. We take our 2 weights. We have a little bit of rest on the clock, so I'll have a drink of water here. Okay, so working the hips. Remember, standing version I will leave it. You can do this seated or you can do it holding onto the chair for balance. Weights by my side. Right knee up. Left knee up. One at a time. A good controlled lift. Again, for me, this is not about going really fast. It's about a good, purposeful lift of that knee. I'm getting to about hip height with my knee. Going as high as you are comfortable. Big lift. Big lift. Again, I'm going to hold those weights not in by my side. I'm going to hold them an inch or two out from the hip. So there's a little bit of challenge through the arm and shoulder on each side as I hold the weights. Just lifting up, making sure you feel strong and balanced through the movement. Last couple of seconds. Once more. And rest. Let the weights down. Brilliant work. So that's your circuit finished. All that's left for us to do now is to cool down. Really brilliant work. Just to kind of take aerobic work. You worked for about 10 minutes on the clock of just constant movement. Work. We did 5 movements repeated 3 times, so 15 weighted movements. If you think of it, body work, strengthening the bone and muscles in our body. So brilliant work. Whatever we pushed hard, so now rest, just to relax it down. So cool stretch. Maybe some of the upper body work standing, and then maybe just to mimic if you're in a seated position. So hands behind my back. So I bring that to pull back, stretching out my shoulders. Just without kind of bending my body forward. So hands together, arms pull back. Spend a little bit of time here. Nice long stretch. Make sure the feet feel comfortable. If you're seated, sit forward in your chair and allow a little bit of space to pull back into. And then rest down. Keeping those hands together, just reset. Lightly pull back once more. Straight arms, pull back from the shoulders. Position. Couple of seconds. And back down. Perfect. Next one. Fingers together, palms of the hands faced out. Straighten out from the chest. So straighten the arms out. If that's uncomfortable, just put one hand on top of the other instead. Straighten out, hold position. And I'm going to think of stretching my upper body position here. Upper back, might feel the shoulders again. And then just nice and light, return the hands in. Press straight out again. Straighten the arms, hold position. Okay. Mary Clark, very welcome. Thanks so much. I appreciate that. And is there any feedback? Found it really hard, tough, easy, or just right? As ever, just let me know in the comments. But as ever, really appreciate that, Mary. Thanks very much. And back down. Very simple with the chest, just to open and expand my chest. Arms by my sides. Pull back, open out. And thanks, Michelle, as well, just for looking after everything. Appreciate that as well. Just to open out, stretch out the chest. And back down. And then once more. Pull back, open out. So you'll see my hands go physically behind and I expand, open up this chest position. Hold, nice long hold. And back down. I'm just going to finish out from seated. So just do a nice hamstring stretch. I might sit back a bit further. So what that looks like is I sit forward in my chair, straighten my right leg. So you'll see I'm on my heel, body is tall, and just gently lean your body. Don't need to go very far. And the purpose is to stretch the back of this leg. So I don't want to bend and I don't want to shoot forward really fast. Very subtle tilt is enough to stretch this position. And then I'll come back. Left leg out straight on my heel. Body is tall and gently tilt the body forward. Looking to feel a stretch on the opposite leg now, back of the leg. And hold a couple of seconds. And back in. Once more. Right leg is straight. Body tall. Small little tilt forward. Feeling the back of my leg. Just to hold that position. and back. Once more, left leg is out straight on my heel, body is tall, and just a gentle little lean forward, hold position. Couple of seconds. And back in. And then we'll just keep it very simple. Feet up and pull the toes back in towards our body. So just stretching out back of the lower legs. I'm just getting a stretch on the front as well. Point the toes forward, hold. And then once more, pull the toes back and hold. And down. Brilliant. Again, I just always like to finish then with just a little bit of breathing. If you feel kind of fully relaxed and stretched, that's fine. But just to help me fully rest, I'm going to take a nice big inhale through the nose. And I'm going to double the time on the exhale. So slow release of air. Same again. I'm not going to rush here. Just keep it nice and relaxed. In through the nose. Nice slow exhale. And again. And just two more. Once more. Okay, so that concludes our session. You say that's a partnership between Siel, Bleu Ireland and the Irish Cancer Society. So thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the workout and hopefully feeling good after that. I'll be away next Wednesday, so I think one of my colleagues will be taking the session. We'll post up the details anyway on our pages, but I'll be away for a couple of days, so it should be one of my colleagues next week. So thanks very much for tuning in. Any feedback as ever, just let me know. But brilliant work, great stuff. And thanks so much, Mary. It's just great to get that feedback. Really appreciate that. Thank you.